Welcome back, I'm Jason, and in previous episodes we have assembled our frame for our chassis, as well as attached motors and the drive wheels. In this episode we're going to be attaching some Omni Wheels to the front of our chassis so that our drive wheels can run in opposite directions and it'll be able to move the front of the robot side to side very easily. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make two Omni Wheel assemblies, one for each side. Each assembly is going to have two Omni Wheels. So these will be clocked so that the rollers are alternating, and this is going to make for a really nice and smooth and sturdy assembly. They're going to be spaced apart by an 1/8 inch hub spacer and held together by 1 1/4 inch 632 screws and some washers. We're also going to use some 1/4 inch ID, 1/2 inch OD bearings, 1/4 inch ID shaft spacer, 2 3/8 inch D shaft, a 770 pattern clamping D hub, and we're also going to throw in a standoff in there just to help make it rigid, as is our standard practice around here. Anywhere we have a shaft going through a channel, it's a great place to put in a standoff. All right, let's go ahead and get started. You're going to start by putting the undersized washers onto these screws. These washers that come with your kit are kind of nice when working with Actibotics because they're going to leave you with extra clearance in places where you otherwise wouldn't have enough room for a washer. So for example, you can see when I slide this in that washer clears that 1/2 inch hole in the center. So there are times where that's going to come in very handy. Then we're just going to slide our 1/8 inch hub spacer in there. We're going to go through the through holes. And this is the point where you need to pay attention to how your Omni Wheels are clocked. You want to make sure that your rollers are indeed alternating so that your load is distributed properly. And once you have that other Omni Wheel on there, you can take your D hub. You can go ahead and put the extrusion that extends out into the 1/2 inch hole. It'll fit in there nicely, and then just go ahead and tighten down your screws. Now that that Omni Wheel assembly is complete, you can go ahead and assemble the other side, which I've already done through the magic of TV, and we're going to go ahead and get the chassis ready for the Omni Wheel assemblies, since the Omni Wheel assemblies are ready for the chassis. We're going to start by throwing in a 1.32 inch long standoff. And as I've said before, anywhere where we're running a shaft through the channel, we love to also throw a standoff in there as well. Next, we're going to pop in our 1/2 inch OD, 1/4 inch ID bearings, and then put in our 1/4 inch D shaft. On the inside of a robot, we're going to use these clamping collars. You can see they have a lip on the edge here, and this helps them to only contact the inner race of the bearing, and that means you are not going to need to use a shaft spacer when you're using a collar like this. And we're going to put the clamping end of that clamping collar, the open side, facing away from the flat of the D on the D shaft, and that will give us the best clamping ability. And then we're going to put on the shaft spacer on the other side, and then we're ready to put on our Omni Wheel assembly. And then we're simply going to do the same thing to the other side, and we're ready to roll. All right. We've got our chassis, we've got our motors and drive wheels, and we've got our Omni Wheels in front. In the next episode, we're going to assemble all the mounts for our electronics.